we are.
Happy birthday, Spider.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Happy 36th birthday.
It was a day.
Yeah.
I had more energy at the start of it.
Spider's only a year older than me.
Me too. Yeah, no, not quite.
No.
We were joking at dinner about Spider's annual 36th.
In my
birthday.
perpetual 36ness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all stuck at some age. We all believe. My mom's is, I think she thinks she's 27. In her mind, she's like, I'm 70 whatever now and I feel 27. It just doesn't go away, you know? I don't feel that anymore. I don't have that
I used to have that.
feeling
I don't have
of
it anymore.
youth.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it. But that's
I like
neither
getting
here
old.
nor there, as they
I
would
like
say.
getting older. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I talk to 36-year-old people, right? I see them on television. I feel like they're my age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You think I'm your age?
Yeah. Are you 36 now?
35.
Yeah. You're coming along. Yeah. No, I mean, I relate to, well, I guess there's a part of me that relates to any age group, really.
It was fun at your place the other day when we were talking with Emmy, and it's like, what was it? You're 25, he was 35, and I was 45, and we were just sort of going back and forth, and it's like, and I would have liked to have someone who was 55 or 65.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I like that multi-generational thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot to, you talk about it a lot, Spider, but there's a lot to learn in either direction. You know, there's a perspective that only comes from youth and being plugged in, and there's a perspective that only comes from a few war stories, you know. And if you can synthesize and get all that on the table, it's very useful and fun.
Dave Snowden's really big on getting under 25s together with 55 pluses to innovate, because it's sort of the people in the middle are playing the current game.
Yes. They're occupied.
And the sort of retirees have done it, and they're thinking, you know, they have like mind space, and their mind works differently enough to the under 25-year-olds that you get a real clash of energy. I like the concept.
Yeah, me too. That sounds really fun. Want to play this message? Yeah. So we have a message from Michael. He's not here tonight.
Little housekeeping.
A little housekeeping, and rather than preempt it, I just like to play it. I'm playing it from a phone, so.
Hey everyone, I wrote and revised a letter to read, and then I realized I should just speak from the heart. I wanted to thank everyone that's been listening and sharing and subscribing and calling or writing to me or anyone on the podcast. For me, over the last 2+ years, watching conversations grow into an event and then into a podcast, and honestly further into a community, has been something really unique and something I never thought was possible or would happen. And it's been amazing to see. And I've met and gotten to spend time with so many great people as a result of this podcast. Right now, where I'm at with my life, I've gotten pretty busy with a few different projects I have going on. I'm in the middle of working on a book, which you may know of, called Exploring Creativity. I'm set to teach my first class on design in 2 weeks. I'm building my business called Status, which brings tons of different unique and interesting challenges and opportunities. I am working on some other things that you'll probably hear about soon enough. And I'm also back home. I'm in New York, having been in LA for a few years, and I'm with my friends and my family, and I want to spend time with them as much as possible. So it's causing me to, make a decision about my time and where I can spend it and where I can't. And while I do enjoy what we do, it does take a lot of time and effort away from other things in my life. So I decided that given the place that the podcast is in, the momentum we have, the processes we have, the people we have on the team, it's the best time to step away and do something new. I said it before, but I definitely want to say it again. I am super grateful for everyone that's listened and contributed and continues to listen and continues to contribute. If I've had any impact on your life, I am super grateful for it. And I hope that I can in the future. If you're looking to find me anywhere, the best place is Instagram. I know we've spoken about Instagram a lot. My handle is michaelj.morgan. Find me there, message, get in touch. I'm more than happy to talk and see how you're doing. I'm going to keep tabs on the podcast. I'm going to keep tabs on the community, see how things grow and evolve. And I'm excited to see where you go from here, as I'm excited to see where I go from here. So yeah, thanks again. This is a bittersweet message to deliver, but it must be delivered. So thank you, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.
Well, all right then.
There it is.
There's not much to say. We'll miss you, Michael.
Wishing Michael well
Yeah.
in all your endeavors.
The ghost of Michael at the table already. Yeah. You know, there's, I enjoyed all of our conversations and learned a lot, still learn a lot. Find myself channeling Michael in. Sydney and I had a decision to make last week, an opportunity that came up and it was complicated sort of. And I found myself, I couldn't get at Michael, but I found myself using his models and his brain and the way he would check my intuitions that I tended to trust a little too much. He would be like, but wait, maybe you're wrong. What about this? And I found myself channeling him and it was useful in the process. So, and I hope it's like that for you guys too, the listeners. We'll miss him and we love him and we wish him all the best with his book and his project and his travels and his teaching, which sounds super intense. I talked to him today about it for a while.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's a lot. There's a lot going on over there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. We'll enjoy his lasting influence.
Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we can forget converge, diverge, or diverge, converge. It's imprinted on our souls. Talk about PTSD. Yeah. Can't we just diverge forever?
Yeah.
No, God damn it.
Yeah.
But what if we had more great ideas?
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So Spider's birthday.
Yes.
How are you feeling, my friend?
I am feeling a little less depleted than I did before dinner. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Dinner was
good.
delicious, John. Thank you.
Restorative.
Restorative, for sure.
Tiv or tative? Restorative.
Restoration.
Can you move your glass? It's
Are you getting
Whoa,
you getting
that's
reflection?
wild. Yeah.
Refracting
Yeah,
the
we've
sun.
got the sunlight's coming in.
God's trying to speak to you and you're just ignoring him. You're like, can you move the
But
glass?
John has a
I'm
glorious
uninterested.
spotlight on him right
Yeah,
now.
it's wild.
It's really
I'm uninterested in what God has to say to me at this present moment.
He's got some
God
moves.
can't help me now.
He can, up his game. Watch out.
yeah.
Give me your best shot. I need it.
Yeah.
Hey, how you feeling?
Yeah, I had a up at 6:30. My chores had stacked up, so got through some things. Got on the bike, explored Pasadena,
Oh, nice.
went over to Huntington Garden and jumped on the bike and cruised around. Stopped in at Rory's house. Nobody was there. It was worth the risk for a surprise visit for the girls. And got home and got cleaned up, and here I am looking pretty. And I need more than a day. I'm just at a point after the last 18 months where my brain's not really firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I feel you.
Going blank in the middle of sentences. I'm like, I need to go lay down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was good today. Being on the bike on a Wednesday, that's been a goal for a long time. Saturdays are great, but it takes more than once a week to like really stay on it,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Nathaniel and I committed to 2 days a week playing tennis.
Oh,
like
that's great.
non-faltering that. You know?
Yeah.
It's really great. One isn't enough. You also, the reps, you need to have your off day and come back the next day and like remember what you were messing up on. You know, gotta get that practice in. The long weekend sucks. I want to play 3 times a week, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should be riding more than 2 times a week. What are you kidding?
Yeah, it's just I'm not into the morning thing. I don't like getting on the bike real early.
Why?
I don't know. It just feels like my blood vessels aren't flexible enough. Like,
But they are.
No, it's like circadian shit. I don't know.
All right. Morning exercise, kind of the vibe.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ask Peter Attia what he thinks about morning exercise and exercising in a fasted state in the morning. And
Yeah, I exercise in a fasted state in the afternoon,
Yes,
not early afternoon.
I think there's some other benefits to the morning that I'm sure he's referenced.
It could be. I mean, there are more heart attacks when people do. There are more world records set in the afternoon, and there are more heart attacks when people are exercising in the early morning. It's just a circadian thing.
Is that during a specific season? Is there a temperature issue here at play?
No, it actually has to do with the flexibility in the blood vessels.
Like exactly what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It's all part of the circadian rhythm.
I just found a poem that I can't read.
You can read it.
No,
It's too good.
Not
No,
gonna
if you
read
found it,
Not going to read it.
I told Rory no poems tonight because I'm going through some shit. Read the fucking poem if you're going to bring it up. Let's go.
Boy.
Let's go.
It's good.
Let's go. I can take it.
This dude, he's a fellow countryman. Never met him, but anyway. A solstice blessing. As night stretches here, day contracts elsewhere. And in their night, we are bathed in light. In all nights, there is light. In long days, there can be ache too. For you, we call the sun to stand still a while, and the moon too, and stars, and the waters, and the heavens. Hells as well, just for a second, just for a breath. May that breath rest you, and may each breath rest you, as it has until now, and now, and now. This one, after that one, after that one, after that.
Ooh,
It's pretty fucking good.
that's pretty fucking
I can
good,
handle it.
man.
It's good. It's all right.
That's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a wizard. A lot of the poems that I find on that website, he reads them on the On Being. There's a little poetry archive on the On Being website, and he's just, the way the lyrical sort of way that he reads, it makes me miss home. It's very, just great rhythm and great tone in his voice. And
I need a couple thousand of those breaths he's referring to.
yeah,
same.
right.
So back to your birthday. I always consider the birthday the New Year. I don't believe in New Year's Day. I don't understand where that even came from. I mean, I understand where it came from, like celestially.
Yeah.
But what's your New Year's?
What's my birthday resolution?
Yeah, well, I don't even want to use that word, but just
Yeah.
what's the vantage point that you're starting off tomorrow with? And can you see anything? 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months out? Any changes you'd like to see?
Or in Snowden language, what's your direction?
What's my direction?
Yeah.
I think it's actually in the same phrasing as our New Year's episode, because this sort of deeper levels of commitment thing is really the track I'm on. I think like finding ways for us to organize so that our basic human needs are better met, and our careers and our interests and our enthusiasm is unlocked and nurtured. So yeah, I feel very much on that track. I don't think I'd be able to get off it if I wanted to. Do you know what I mean? It's just where my interests lie. And I think grappling with the complexity of the world is a really challenging, difficult thing. We don't live... There's only so much about our universe that is predictable. So much of what we're doing is far more subtle. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to all the conversations we're going to have to those ends, because I think that's where the deepest stuff is, where the greatest meaning is, and, in making deeper commitments and doing things together and being mutually invested in each other and things, in projects. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a big challenge because we don't actually understand it that well, the way communities work, and because this, it's almost like a choose your own adventure moment in society, because we've lost, we've sort of lost mechanisms and structures that kept us together. And now we're in this sort of a more open landscape when it comes to tradition and institutions. And I think the whole world's grappling with this, but I'm grappling it for my own well-being, grappling with it for my own well-being. I mean, the way I grew up was challenging for some reasons, but was also so close-knit to, a sort of Dunbar group. It's like 150 people that lived in a place, and we were with each other every week, and it's a kind of benefit I didn't realize I had, a benefit that I didn't understand that other people don't have. And to live without it feels strange.
Yeah.
It feels wrong. It feels temporary. It feels like a temporary gap in the way life should be. But it's been going on.
Can you
for 20
explain
years,
the Dunbar number for those listeners that don't know what that is?
Sure. Robin Dunbar is I don't know what his qualifications are, or what his title is.
Anthropologist of some sort?
Could be. Yeah. I mean, he came up with Dunbar's number, which is actually, that was really the first iteration. It's actually Dunbar's series. So it goes through the concentric circles of what types of relationships you could have with how many people. So your closest relationships. And the 150 number is sort of that's sort of a primate reality. It's like chimpanzees, when the troop grows to a certain size, it'll split.
Yeah.
It'll fracture. It'll
or
break
kill
apart.
a member.
Yeah, because you get this sort of instability in the brain. It's actually it's all neurologically based. You can't cope. Yeah. You can't cope.
What I liked about it, learning about it, was that nobody can hide in plain sight. In a group that small, because you learn everyone intimately enough where if someone does harm to another, they're kicked out of the group. There's no way to hide.
Yeah, the consequences are immediate. It's hard to hide. Yeah,
yeah.
You can't just slide by.
Yeah.
But there are bigger numbers in the series. So neurologically, we can only put a name to a face for 1,500 people. Now, I don't know what the range...
That's a lot.
It's a lot. I don't know what the range is, but dude...
15 is pushing it for me.
But 1,500, that includes Donald Trump, Don Draper, that's a
but that's fair.
But yeah, even fictional
John
characters.
Hamm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It includes every face and name. So it's not just even real life people who are alive now.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, there's something about, and like I say, we don't understand. If we did, we'd be building. I mean, there are these startup society groups and think tank types, and the Jordan Halls and Jamie Wheels and even Schmachtenberger and them, the Foresight Institute. There's a bunch of people thinking about these problems. And there are a lot of proposals being made about how to construct cities in a new way, where you have these sort of islands of 150 people that elect to live together, families, kids growing up together, and adjacent to others where you can intermix and intermingle. And
where does this land in your thoughts of music industry and the community in Los Angeles, whether it be audio engineers or
I don't know.
producers or songwriters or artists or all of us.
Yeah.
Where's this land in your thoughts? I know you think about this.
I do. I mean, I think about like a common fate, I think about all the common ground that even just engineers share, from the events we had up here in person. It was very apparent there's a hunger and a need for togetherness.
There's a lot of isolation in that position, in that role.
Yeah, even more so than typical. A lot of people move here from, around the country or elsewhere in the world, and their families aren't here, and they're, it's a hard place to learn when,
Or even 3-week writing trips without your family being around too. Like whatever it is on a smaller scale too.
Yeah. I think
like if you could schedule your trip around an event happening, a community event, right? Then you would come out for work, but you'd have this thing to look forward to. Like,
the motivation's really what I'm concerned about. It's like you can get people together once a month and but then what? We know we can do that. But what do we build? Like, what do we do? How do we bring out the best in each other? Like, how do we organize in a way that where everyone wants to contribute because they're getting more from it than they put in?
Yeah.
Churches work this way.
Yeah.
You
think people should tithe the conversations so we can, just kidding.
Well, no. I mean, a common pot is not.
I know, just messing.
No, but I mean that's what I mean. Like taking a stake in each other, having a place to meet, food to eat. It takes contributions. And there's a huge responsibility around that. And I there are more modern ways of thinking about how to organize and how to take a stake in one another that, there's stuff to learn in the crypto world. There's stuff to learn, in the concept of smart contracts. There's stuff to learn from what's the best part about the way managers operate today? What could a augmented management company look like? Like, what are the ways we can, a school, is there even an AES chapter in LA? Like, I don't
I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure
it's so far from, it's, I have no idea what's happening at AES. You know what I mean? In terms of, are they doing anything? Are they on Clubhouse? How come I haven't heard about it?
Is there anything relevant? Yeah.
I've never heard anyone talk about an AES chapter in LA all these years.
They do stuff. I mean, on the technical side, it's important if you've got AES 67, or, the competitor to Ravenna, or if you plug an AES cable into from one interface to another, someone decided that standard and it was the AES. There were options and they codified it, and that's why we call it AES. So they're doing things at a technical level, but at the kind of in the domain that Spider's talking about, not so much.
Yeah, and I recently I've been seeing more Grammy committee emails. Like I'm wondering what they're doing reach outs, but not their virtual events. They're not. I mean, we're not post COVID in that yet. There's these virtual webinars that people will speak on. Like, how is that the same thing as building community in person? I don't see it as that. I don't feel it as that. What groups are doing this? I guess that's the question we're trying to get at.
Yeah, I think the answer to Spider's question is, you do this once a month meetup or whatever that looks like, and what then? I think what I'm most excited about is the individual nodes on the network connecting.
That's what I was thinking.
We talked about at dinner, someone reached out to you yesterday, and the amount of sort of individual connections between people in our worlds, our various worlds, what Spider and I are doing, your mixed clients, the podcast, and Michael's world, Graham's world. Just meeting Emmy the other day was so fun, you know what I mean, to connect those two dots. What's his full name? Sorry. Emiliano Caballero, and he runs or owns Leapwing Audio, a plugin company. Yeah, great dude. We had a really interesting conversation. He was present. He witnessed me going in on Graham, on Graham's driveway in a pretty spectacular style. We were teasing out some issues, and he was a great cheerleader for the whole process. And we were talking some actually about this thing about coming from Europe, about the slightly different perspective that we have on community and we have on sort of individualism. And he very much was sort of had the same experience as me, you know, coming from a smaller place. He's from Spain originally, but has lived, he said, like 6 or 7 countries in the last 12 years, all through Europe and up into Northern Europe, into Scandinavia. And he was making the point that he loves America, that he can live anywhere, and he lives here for a reason. So for all its flaws, you know, there's something very compelling about the American project, to me too. But definitely this need, this hunger for connection and community, because it's been hacked by social networks, but it's not serving us. They're exploiting the desire, but not giving us the nutrition, you know, giving us what we need.
But then that to me asks the question, like, do people want it?
I think
because we're all falling for it.
I'm not as interested in what people want as what they need.
Of course.
Well, it felt like it up here with everybody up here.
It did.
And it feels like it everywhere we go.
But I based it on a desire and want that I had, not necessarily a need. And then it was very made clear that there was a need for it, right? Like it was based around Michael and I wanting to do something for to give back to the community. It wasn't based on a need. So I guess you discover
you
needs.
intuited a need, or it emerged or whatever. I think people do want it, and I think people feel, you know, it's a theme we've explored here at the table. But I think people are trapped by these games that they're playing, and this sort of competitive thing, and these whatever they think they need to do, you know, to sort of get by or to prosper in this community. And they're pushing down their own needs, their exercise, their diet, their sleep, their relationships. They're sort of subjugating those to this game that they're playing. And I think the need for a community is just another thing that suffers, you know.
I mean, this podcast exists because we've helped each other level up. And we each appreciate it and value it. And also this podcast is a means to continue and deepen that. And, you know, in the way that we've helped each other win, you know, how can we organize in a way where we can maybe do that with more people, right? Help other people do it with each other, right? You know, working with John for the last decade has been, you know, as I've said, one of the more rewarding things I've ever done. And what does it look like to do that with 10? And some way of doing it with 100? You know, what could that look like? You know, and not just me. I mean, in a collective way.
That's what I want to do too. Yeah, of course.
You know,
give back what I was given. Yeah,
because I feel like the milieu that we'd all be like swimming in would just be more positive, optimistic, fruitful. You know,
and people are looking to LA. They're looking to the community here. They're looking to the people who are making the records that they are listening to or inspired by. They're looking to those people for leadership in how to do it in terms of what matters. It's like they're looking here for gear recommendations and techniques and ideas, and, you know, are they atmosing? Are they not? Are they mixing in the box? Are they on consoles? Are they, you know, summing? That's people around the world are looking to LA, so we can have an impact in terms of leading with with the softer stuff too, I think.
Yeah, beyond our 1,500 face to name capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, a legacy like that would be that's worth fighting for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
it's for me. It's really an extension of, because I started as an artist who worked alone. The strategies that I had to get the best out of myself laid the groundwork for how I would function as a producer and how my intuitions would evolve. And so now all of this is a continuation of that like producer intuition, like, because what we're talking about is making sessions better in perpetuity. It's like creating a cultural wave that like makes the studio experience more valuable to everyone. The people in there doing it, the people who are involved in working this music, getting it to the public, and it all goes into the archive. And so like it's really about well-being. The record production thing for me was always about well-being. It's like, how do you get the obstacles that are really inhibitory out of the way for an artist and empower them, support them,
Yeah.
If their leadership voice isn't there yet, how do you help, how do you empower them to have it emerge? How do you get their home studio to be less of a frustrating shit show? All the levels,
Yeah.
And this is sort of like, and I think this is part of Michael's influence, is that I became able to think about it more at scale.
Yeah.
And also the role at PMC is very much personal and one-on-one, and it is an aspect of this, like to, between PMC and what we're doing with Unfuck, it's like it's very rewarding to have this kind of impact for people. For people to enjoy work more, I like the kind of environment that all this work we've done is, the social environment that it's created for us.
Yes.
There's a kind of common understanding amongst our clients, even, when they meet each other, there's like there's a common ground that is sort of made without them, or with them asynchronously and independently.
Yeah.
It's a common thing, the deep connection with music and appreciation, like knowing like how confident you can be in the room, that kind of experience is in too short a supply.
Seems to be, yeah. So in terms of a direction, I'm thinking of our conversation with Moritz the other night, or in terms of a direction, say for the rest of this year, what I'm sort of feel like we're coming to a moment of sort of, with Michael leaving a bunch of new, probably simple, practical steps, some practical sort of, move those chairs over there and put 5 people in them, What are you thinking in terms of direction for the rest of this year? Say in terms of the community project, what are sort of practical steps you think you imagine?
Well, I think we all need to talk about this more and with more people, and in escalating, and escalatingly serious. To me, it's not entirely obvious how to do this. So I think getting certain people together. I'm looking forward to. Some people have agreed to have these kinds of conversations with us, and people who don't know each other. And I'm interested in getting some more voices sort of looking at our specific problem and just getting their perspective on it too. Because if I knew what to do we'd be making steps,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I think there's some sort of discovery about what kind of structures make sense,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And really, it's not up to me or us. This is a collective idea. So it's going to take all of us to participate in some way in order for a structure to emerge. I don't think it can be imposed. I actually don't think we can predict exactly how to do it in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Because really it's the motivations are just too complex. And like I said, like motivation, that's everything. Like, why do you stay in a group? Why do people stay at a certain church for, you know, as long as they do? Why do they keep going back? What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
You know, to feel a part of something? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. You know, people start nights at bars where they play vinyl and it's cool, and then like people stop coming after a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what is that next level? What is that next level? Like, why would people put a portion of their income into a pot with other people? You know what I mean? Like, for me, this is a no-brainer. It's like, that's how. But in our world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm really I'm in a sort of discovery phase,
Right.
which I think this obsession with Dave Snowden is around the power that the framework, the Canavan framework, the Welsh word,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful word, by the way. It means the place of your multiple belongings, which I think is so cool. It has like, you know, the image of roots, having roots down, basically. Like the power of the framework to understand like the rules of your level of analysis. So if you're looking at like our community and the complex social interactions, there's a shape to it. You know, we know that we can put out an invite and people will come, you know. There's some things we can predict about it. It's not totally chaotic. It's not like, you know, the day we found out about COVID. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're the Prime Minister of New Zealand, you're actually using Canavan to lock everybody down, to open up options, to like move out of that chaotic quadrant in the framework.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. I think like having ways of thinking about frameworks, things that give abstract ideas shape that you can work with, I find really inspiring. And like complexity just isn't the like when you're in a complex space, it's not the kind of thing where you can just there are no one-to-one relationships between actions, because all of the components in a complex system interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't when you're in that space, you can't predict. And that's sort of the problem we're in, because like I said, the old institutions and the old shapes, the old structures for our social interactions are gone, and we live far more independently. And we just can't predict like how people are gonna want to interact if if they're not already doing it. It's like we don't exactly know level of commitment people would be willing to make with each other. So you can't just design the thing. You know what I mean? It's like you can't predict it. It has to somehow, you can lead and you can propose, but you need a thing to emerge. And that's what was kind of interesting about what you were saying about having the events up here. It was like, you had a certain incentive, but what emerged was like, oh God, these people really need each other. Like,
well, I thought
wouldn't they benefit if they could help each other?
I thought we'd have 20 or 25 people, and then every month it was like 60 people trying to come, then 100 people, and I had to like, oh, I didn't even realize that like this is a desire.
Yeah,
and it's not just a desire to be at a party; it's a desire to meet like minds and discuss what we do, like, and how to make it better. Yeah, I miss that. I hope that's part of your year plan. Doing these again somewhere.
Well, we're doing it asynchronously because,
kind of. It's still not the same thing.
It's not at all the same thing.
I get to actually talk to people when I'm up here. I don't like to talk on the internet. You know, so like I'm not in my best when we're doing this, the internet version of it, but I'm pretty good at it when we're up here. You know, so.
But Rory and I are going studio.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So like we're seeing.
It's different though. It's not
the need.
There's a context there that's, though I'm sure social relationships are developed and fun is had, it's a hired experience, right? There's currency being exchanged. When you come up here to eat food, there's no currency exchanged, right? There's just just a hang context.
But like what I'm saying is what happened up here and that need is continuing. It's like, and we're seeing it all the time. People are telling us like, the through PMC and the consulting work and the podcast collectively, people are appreciative of the sense of the community, even though it's not as deep and rich as it was, when we were all in a high context, all in a room together. The need is. We're all in a state of flow.
It's different in some ways because we've experienced. So yeah, it's not the same as it was when we were face to face up here, but in another way, via the podcast, we have people coming back to us with ideas. People reading. I'm talking to people on the phone. They're saying, "Wait," like we had a workshop recently, and someone stopped and read us a quote from one of the episodes, something that they had. That had struck them as being really important, and they had made the time to write it down and then bring it back up to us, like long after we've forgotten. It was something you had said, I think, Spider. And so, there is the value of being together in person, social, immediate, is obviously real, but there is also a value to sort of a longer, slower burn process of evolving ideas and interrogating them and having people think about them offline and come back to us and share them.
But the perfect storm is what we were headed towards with the video and YouTube and then now the podcast, which would be to have the community live during the episode in the space like we did, where we shared a meal, we mingled, we hung, we chatted for an hour and a half, and then we did an hour and a half discussion and conversation. That's where this, and Q&A. Yeah. So you're engaging in real time what people want to hear instead of us attempting to understand. Like what you're saying, we can't really predict what this is going to look like or what people even really need, because you don't have to predict it if someone's real time telling you what they need and then you talk about it, right? That's why I think the AMAs are my favorite versions of this podcast so far. But then it also lives in perpetuity on this channel, on YouTube and other places. Yes. But it comes back to the original concept, which is it's all about community, and it's not about the four of us or now the three of us, right? It's never been about that, and then it's now by default had to be seemingly about that, where I think we do a good job in trying to remind that it's community. And like this whole episode, kind of that seems to be the theme right now, is like trying to get back to the root of why. Yes. And as the creator of it, I should just speak on that. Like I can't wait to get back to that, because then we designed this platform, so now we have best of both worlds.
Yes.
The real-time feedback in the room was what made it interesting for me, and I think all of us. I think the questions that were asked when we did the first Unfuck, even before Unfuck was really doing its thing, like that's still the go-to for a lot of things. It's still like we can point to that,
It's crazy. We had someone, if you were to say, who watches this video? We had someone watch it last week that did not fit that profile in any way.
Right.
He was the wrong age. He did the wrong thing. He had the wrong kind of studio, and watched it, loved it, got a lot out of it, and found it really useful to him. He didn't fit like the young engineer we were speaking to, but the information was good. So it's surprising how something like that can carry on, especially as it wasn't planned or organized in any way. It was just off the cuff,
Yeah. I'm finding that I feel like we'll get more support, and the community will get more support by default by interacting with more people at the same time, right? I'm a little bit I'm craving it. I'm in need of it, right? So I guess I'm just feeding off of what you're talking about, Spider.
Yeah.
I think it just is a necessity. So
are we looking at is the perfect event, once we can get together here, or maybe even in the meantime,
the first
somewhere
one
outdoor?
should be here.
Yeah.
Proof of vaccination. Back to the OG, like 30 people. Maybe we do 25. We do it up here.
Is the perfect format real people together, eat, live stream the event for the Edsels and the people who are out in the world, and Josh and all of our people, Eduardo and everyone around.
Yes.
Live stream it and then capture it and post it.
Yes.
With video.
It doesn't have to have video. The perfect is not necessarily with video. I just brought that up as that's where we were headed. Yeah, maybe. And I bought the cameras for it. We have the tools. It just takes more work. But to get everything ambitious, in order to get it out right away, like we do within a few days, then I would say no, because there's editing at play, and that's just another level of just full transparency. Like we don't have a video person on the crew, but we have audio people. So I think to do the same thing that we're doing now and have that kind of consecutive access to what we're discussing, then no. But if we started doing that as its own thing, and that was part of it, and we knew that we were turning around that one by like midweek the next week, we had a few extra days to get the video, then sure. But that's for us to decide off. I don't.
Yeah, we could do a pretty unedited video, I think.
Yeah.
There are lots of live events I've seen that aren't edited.
Sure.
There's the Ecamm Live and all these software now where you can switch, like it's made for live streaming podcast stuff, but you can switch, sort of edit live and then just capture it and it's done. So it's like, okay, maybe you don't get to Spider right when he speaks, but it's good enough.
It's fine. Yeah, exactly. I'm fine with that. Yeah. So maybe it is video. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be. Like it's going to be on our channel either way as audio only.
Yeah.
So that's fine. And then it also makes it, I don't know, I'm just talking out loud now. I just imagine that, thinking out loud.
Video would be great.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong.
Say if you're in LA or near it and you have chops with video and sort of live streaming, then we should probably talk. DM us, any one of us individually or the conversations, Instagram.
If you know how to do what we want to do, let us know.
Well, increasingly we're going to need.
But this is a way exactly to feed an emergent thing. So like this gathering, there's something spontaneous about it, right? There's a feedback loop between the obvious need in the audience and John's original intention. And in complex systems, you want to create constraints, which is like the event, and watch and see what emerges. And the things that are preferable, you feed those things, and the things that aren't, you starve them. And to do otherwise is like really authoritarian and propagandistic. It's like you're not talking about controlling people. You're talking about supporting, the preferred emergence, or get technical. It's a subtle way of thinking, but to me, it gets us out of a kind of top-down posture. Right, and really puts your sort of like puts you in that compassionate framework.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's where it
and
started.
meeting people where they are, and how,
If you ask about plugins, you literally, there's no food for you.
Yes.
We start
yeah,
that
we
question.
do starve those.
Yeah,
questions.
no lamb for the people.
Nothing would make me happier than cooking, however many courses I was doing at that time for a large group of people, yet again, in this space. Like, that's all I really want to do at this point. I think that would be medicine for all of us, myself included.
Good times.
Yeah, so I look forward to that.
Lamb shoulder.
If the listeners can't tell, we are still in the process of discovering what our post-COVID podcast looks like. Down a member now, so we're going to be discussing this off mic as well. But it's nice to share that we're thinking about these things again, and we're able to share that hopefully events will happen again. We've been talking about it a bit, and y'all should know that we're going to try. Video sounds good, just so people can tune in, like the Etzels in the world and Eduardo's, and look forward to that.
Video is very shareable in a way that audio, it's just stickier. People.
It's more intimate in some ways too.
Yeah, it's funny because you send me everything. You send me Spider on video. I have to find the audio version. I just don't. I don't sit and watch things.
I'm with you.
It's done while I'm walking or the dishes or driving or, I'm not a watcher. But for most people, I'm the exception. For most people, watching a video is more intimate and more engaging. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's to sum it up. We're thinking hard about what comes next, and sort of, I think, in the spirit of what we were talking about at dinner, John. There's I think as people in the modern world, we spend far too much time in the middle ground. We should spend more time with the sand between our toes, doing simple things, grounded things, and more time thinking in the abstract, in the thinking about complexity and thinking about higher order stuff. And we seem to spend most of our time in the middle with the Kardashians. Like somehow a Kardashian ended up on my feed today on Instagram, and it's via a client, and it's wow, that's just a piece of my brain that has Kardashian in it today. Or whatever, the kinds of stuff that the complicated, messy, but ultimately useless things we spend so much of our time thinking about, modern politics or whatever. And it's actually understanding, sense making beyond that, and simpler, grounded, walking, putting your feet in a river, those kinds of simple things. For me, playing with the girls, that kind of stuff. Or just I saw you doing it at dinner too. We were drinking nice champagne for Spider's birthday, and it's just stopping, just for 2 seconds, instead of gulp, 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 gulp. Okay, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this.
It's too good.
Stop for 2 seconds. Close your eyes. It's can you even taste it? Just stop. Just slow down. Put your feet in the river. Okay, we spend just a moment here, and I think not we. I mean, I think. In life, we're all spending too much time in the middle, in this sort of messy, I keep referring to it as playing games that other people decided, I need better language than that, but it's just why am I doing this? It's because someone else says it, this is how we do it. It's okay, maybe not, maybe it's time to put my feet in the river.
Should we do an event where we're all in a sandbox together?
Well, summer retreat, bro.
Yeah, there's the Sydney and I got married in Tuscany, and there was a town where the night before our wedding we had a dinner in this town called, I'm going to remember it as Bagno Vignoli, I think, and it was a Roman bath, an original Roman bath, like Bath in England, still very intact, in the center of town, warm baths and a whole archaeological site. But coming out of the warm spring bath into this little village, there was a stream, and at the end of the village it sort of ran off over this sort of down this incline, and right before it's the town had ended and it was just kind of no man's land, just dirt areas, Tuscan dirt, and my whole family, like after drinks and food, mom, dad, brothers and sisters, nephews and nieces, all shoes off at night, wine and Fiorentino steaks in the belly, everyone full, some friends from Ireland, and the feet in this warm water, just rolling out of this Roman bath. It's just like, that's a moment, you know, sort of a grounded moment of like family, food, you know, warm, safe, feet in the water. You don't want for anything at a moment like that, you know. I don't even know why I started remembering
Romance,
that, but
beautiful.
yeah, it was a great.
I'm really into this concept of terroir right now, and not just in wine. I mean, it's a great analogy for other things or metaphor. It's like when you listen to music and it feels of a place and of a time, the kind of power it can have, or even in people, you know, there's this sort of this air about people that are from different places, you know, it's just such a cool idea, thing to leverage in art and in communication.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's a difference between having a conversation with someone from New York, like Evan, you know, when he was here, or I don't know if Evan's from New York, but he's, you know, he's there now.
He's from Long Island.
Yeah. And then someone like Emmy the other day, it's like we were talking about that rhythm of talking to someone from Europe. Thomas often talks about it, you know, of coming here and sort of conversations we would have versus he would have with other people. It's just a different rhythm. Not even better or worse. It's just different.
I have a certain kind of pain when I hear music from someone I think is interesting, who's even captured well in photography, and you get a sense of who they are and where they're from, and then you hear the music and it's not in there. It's like music from anywhere, from the cloud, like wherever.
Yeah.
It's a certain kind of pain. It's like someone not paying attention. Do you know what I mean?
Most likely a lot of people.
Or driven by fear, driven by trying to compete or wanting to be like other people.
I mean, it could be their decision too. It's not like a full, you can't necessarily place blame
No, I'm
on,
not. Yeah,
you know,
I'm not blame.
yeah.
I'm not putting blame anywhere.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I think like it's a missed opportunity. And again, I think like the way the society has changed, and especially again from our community's perspective, like a lot of us having moved here, it's a thing that if you don't pay attention to it and sort of take steps, the current is pushing us elsewhere.
Very much so. I had a conversation with a client today. I did a record for them, done a bunch of singles and did a record for them, kind of indie pop, husband and wife, really good singers, really good songwriters. And they had some stuff that went, you know, got on playlists and got 1 million+ plays. And but basically they're just working, doing it. And last record was definitely a kind of an attempt to compete. You know, it was honest, but it was definitely louder and brighter, a lot of distortion, a lot of sort of influences, and got the mixes for this new record and was speaking to the client today, and it was just like, he was like, yeah, I started reffing stuff at the start of mixing and just started bending my songs to our recordings to these refs, you know, more energy, more hype, more whatever, and just started losing it and just ditched it and went back and sort of made these intuitive moves, just mixing himself. And it felt great. Listen to the mixes today. It's like, this feels like a record. It's like, it's got something to say. And he's just like, it's going to be as loud as it is, whatever, wherever it lands, you know, just bring out what's in there. And it was a really refreshing conversation. I've had a few of those in the last minute, and it's really, I think part of it is sort of maybe a slight awakening generally, and part of it is just me doing a better job of finding those people. But it's really heartening. And like you say, I'm saddened when it goes the other way, when you see someone with something, you know, everyone is unique. Everyone's got something, if you can dig in, to say. You know, and when you see it sort of being made generic, it's it's always a little bit heartbreaking when it's our job to draw out the unique, you know.
Yeah.
You feel that opportunity missed. I can't do it at my end. It has to happen upstream.
Mm-hmm.
I can frame it, I can shape it, I can maybe enhance it a little, but I can't if it's gone, it's gone.
I have pangs. It makes me want to get my hands in there and nurture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so much.
Yeah. I think good ideas can be powerful, especially if we can get them to transmit, like, you know, again, in the spirit of our conversation with Moritz the other night.
Yes.
If we can make a case and make it so that someone else can retransmit it, not only wants to, is benefited by resharing an idea, an idea that we found or an idea that we've discovered or even made up ourselves, conceived of, or framed in a certain way. If we can make it useful and sticky and get out into the world, that it's more powerful than you can imagine. I think it's hard to imagine the effect it could have.
Because of the complexity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm ready for a vacation.
Yeah, dude. It's been a fucking year.
Mm-hmm.
Plotting it in my head.
I've got one coming. Yeah. A week in the mountains with the girls.
3 weeks from now.
The girls got their swimsuits the other day. We're getting like beta on where the lakes are. Go swimming, the little swimming holes, secret spots. Grandma's psyched. She's coming.
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking about what bottles of wine I'm going to bring.
More.
I was just thinking about that for you.
Yeah, there'll be some Morgon. I have some San Josef, Monier Perial. Hello. Can we get a Monier Perial sponsorship?
Hello.
Steve Vermino's got the Monier. That's my jam. We had a couple of bottles of that. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but some nice.
Should bring a bottle of bubbly to get the time started. Check out some Agripart and Fee.
All right. I'm down with that.
Agripart.
Has Jim got it?
Jim doesn't have any left. I got them all in the fridge.
Okay. I got to buy from you now. The
wine hotel on La Brea has.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. They'll have some.
I'm excited to bring some books and just.
The entry level is called Seven Crew. Just grab that.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do one higher. But
Seven Crew sounds like a Fast and Furious movie.
That's a good entry level, like nice taste, nice, surprising bottle.
Graham will link to it in the show notes.
The prices will surge.
Yeah. No. We should edit that out. We should edit that out because people shouldn't know about the great grower champagne houses.
Yeah.
Because there's short supply.
Yeah, I think we're okay. I don't think we have that reach yet. I don't think we can crash the champagne market.
It's too complex, man. I don't know.
Yeah, we could.
I'm feeling really, really desiring of simplicity, as we discussed that. So I have to find a way to do that. So I feel you. I'm happy that you have that booked.
We go to the forest with the girls. Come up to JPL and we'll go stand around in the river. It's a good time. Catch tadpoles.
Wow, I haven't done that in 30 years.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's still exciting. It's wild. You get one in your hand, it's like, oh shit. It's a wriggly thing in my hand. You know? We were up there a couple of weeks ago. I guess it's drying up now, but we were there a couple of weeks ago, and a dad and his two daughters had found a salamander, and I'd never seen one. So they were bringing it. They had a jar, and they were sort of showing it to other families as they went up the river, and then they were going to release it at the top. But it was, super. The girls want to get in there and touch it. It's like different color and.
Yeah, I have zero interest in touching salamanders at this point in my life.
It was cool.
I don't know if I was into it then too. They look cool though.
Yeah. I've never seen one, so it's exciting for me. And snakes in the river and shit. That's a good time.
Oof.
Yeah.
Phobias.
Exciting.
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, it's just get the dirt between your toes.
Spider, it's your birthday. You should take a vacation.
Love to.
Everyone that's listening should take a vacation after this. For real.
Yeah, conversation.
Just go somewhere.
Vacation.
2 days, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, whatever it can be. Just do it.
Yeah.
The Tour de France starts on Saturday.
Oh, for real?
So
Short notice.
Does that mark the 3-year anniversary of me breaking my chest and hanging out and watching it with you?
Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah, it's 3 years. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so we'll see about after that.
Yeah.
On back to tag back to our earlier conversation, Robin Ian MacDonald Dunbar is a British anthropologist and evolutionary psychologist and a specialist in primate behavior.
Yeah, he gave a talk on the Stoa and a Q&A. It was very, very good recently, in the last few weeks. I didn't realize the guy was alive.
It doesn't sound like
whenever somebody
alive.
gets a number, they're not around anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still around. Brilliant conversation. It really, and it's that conversation, I recommend it because he's, and Graham, maybe we'll link to that too. He talks about some of the, community-based insights that have to do with our well-being individually and collectively. There are a lot of good asides, and the folks on the Stoa, or is it Rebel Wisdom? It's one of the two. But the folks at both of those communities, the Stoa YouTube channel and Rebel Wisdom channel, they both have communities. I bet there's a lot of overlap in their membership. But the questions are great. The questioners are excellent.
Yeah.
They're all high-level thinkers, and you get like that kind of upvoting of the question. People submit the questions in advance and then upvote.
Yes.
And those at the top of the list jump on Zoom and ask their questions in person and stuff. It's great. Great
Rebel
format.
Wisdom is definitely getting better all the time. The quality of their output.
Yeah.
I find myself listening to more and more of it.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I don't know. Practical steps where we need what I would love is another hour with you guys every week in person, coffee, and a bigger, higher level chat to move the bigger game forward.
Yes.
What we started in the desert.
I think
it's a big ask, but it's...
Oh, we're doing it every Friday, aren't we?
Well, that's the production meeting.
Oh, we don't have any, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we can, if we don't have to do that anymore, then great. But it would be great to do it in person if we could.
Yeah.
Hot tub hangs at yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm down.
I don't think I'll get Zoom fatigue in the hot tub.
Yeah, no. Well, we're 2 nights in a row doing that, so down to do another one.
I think both Dunbar and Snowden talk a lot about how, or have talked about how video conferencing, presents an extra tax on us, on our metabolism, on our energy, because we're not getting the olfactory cues. The actual pheromone and stuff that we can smell that we're not even aware of has so much to do with the feeling of, there's a feeling of disconnection and confusion. It's almost like a cognitive dissonance that results from from FaceTiming and Zooming and stuff. There's
no question that a 2-hour Zoom is harder than a 2-hour phone call. It just seems to be more exhausting.
Yes.
I don't know, it's because, for the reason you described, or that you're self-conscious, or you're forced to pay a kind of visual attention that you wouldn't be if you were on the phone. You could pace around and you could go outside or come back in, but it's not better than the phone in most cases. It is when you want to see my mom and dad and they want to see the kids, but for day-to-day communication or most meetings, I don't prefer it.
Yeah.
It's practical, but I don't find it fills me up,
I rarely do it, so I'm with you.
Yeah. I do find it useful for our workshops.
Yeah.
But the one thing that's really interesting in the workshops is watching people's body language change as you introduce different concepts.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Yeah.
Gauging the feedback and being able to push further or have to pull back, or depending on how people are reacting, of course.
Yeah. It is useful for that.
Yeah.
I prefer it in person.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
But it's not tenable given the way we're doing it now.
Not right now, but I think it's all subject to change anyway. So
Yeah.
Making that sustainable and making it useful and making it, I think, something we've talked about is oftentimes we're covering the same ground over and over when we could do it once.
Yes.
And push it into the world.
Yeah.
And that simple video that we made up here proves that,
Yeah.
how useful people find it despite the low production value and the
I think
and
that's
the low
what we
information
attempted
density.
with Brian. Sorry to talk over you, but I think that's what we try to do with Brian, is to get a version of it in the world. Brian Hansen on the workshop episode.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a way to sort of, again, move in that direction.
Yeah, and it did seem to land with people. They sort of found some of the questions useful, and
Yes.
yeah. I would hope that we can do more of that, more of public workshopping, so that people have a sort of can see different versions, different people.
There's such a range. And
wound up people, sleepy people, motivated people.
Some of them are hilarious. Yeah. Other ones are like really deep and reflective and It's always interesting. Yeah, it's always and we've got some good ones coming up. I see some names dropping into the calendar. It's like, oh shit! I know.
There's some funny ones coming.
Friday's going to be cool too.
Yes. Yeah. There's a run of interesting projects right now. Just sort of unique mix of sort of legacy artists and cool people and interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Feeling grateful for that. It's an interesting puzzle. I think
I don't know, guys.
You think we covered it?
I don't know. We haven't, and we won't for several years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm feeling really grateful about how the relationships over the last few years have developed at all kinds of levels with clients. And I mean, I've never felt like I think after leaving my band 20 years ago, I just haven't felt a sense of connection to such a broad set of people. I think in the Tony period, that was like joining a big ass band. I was like a 12-member band.
Yeah, it was sick.
That was deep. And when you're in the building and working every day together like that, like that's really, I wish all the engineers could work that way all the time for their whole career. But what we've done with PMC and Unfuck and this podcast is create this like broader community that I don't know. They're just new kinds of feelings for me. That are much more, like I said before, like what it was like to grow up where I grew up.
Yeah.
And the best parts of it.
It's very satisfying, and there's just so much talent. It's kind of ridiculous when you just think of, it's like, there are days when I look at the last 6 texts that came in, it's like, Jesus Christ, look at the people. Like,
no, I know.
You just think of the caliber of thinking and talent and work, the sort of the years and years, decades in many cases of like thought and care that's gone in. Care thing has been on my mind a lot since we... Where was that? Was that here or was it on Matt Rad that you were talking about care?
Matt Rad,
yeah. It's been on my mind a lot, and noticing it.
The Schmachtenberger kind of thing.
Yeah.
Concept.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I started listening to that
it
again.
It really struck me listening to that episode twice. Yeah. Like, that's really what stood out, because kind of seems to come to me naturally, and I don't see it everywhere. And it's probably something to discuss from my perspective. I haven't really sorted it out just yet.
And you've done a good job, which is sort of where I'm trying to move to in terms of carving out the permission to care that much. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to care more than your clients. You know, if they want it cheap and fast, then, you know, it creates a sort of a rushing river that you get pulled away by. So that's been on my mind a lot. The last minute, there's been more. It's been a couple. I did a spectacular record this week, and it's like I took the time with it, and the you know, the artist and the engineer really took the time with it, and it just shows. It's great. I was able to do it in 2 days and then come back to it and just give it a final touch up and crazy performances, and it's just like really satisfying to and know that when it goes out in the world that it will feel like it was cared for, you know. Something that you can point to. So that's been on my mind a lot, you know. And I had a good conversation with Dylan this morning about a whole bunch of stuff, but that was one of the things, is that feeling that's uncomfortable is when you don't have time to care, and your natural intuition or your motivation in work is to care, but you don't have time because, you know, it needs to be something. It needs to be louder or brighter or faster. And that's an uncomfortable place to be when you want to do something, but constraints are don't allow you to make it as good as it could be, you know. So I'm sort of grateful in the spirit of what Spider says to be moving out of that phase and into a better phase, you know. More enjoying.
It's nice that you recognize that.
Yeah. Well, it's a product of this sitting at the table and even just being able to articulate what it is I want to do.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. And then have it start to happen, and then be able to notice it, as you say, you know.
I think we should get Dale a broken heart tattoo for his big ass bicep.
Oh my God.
Don't you think?
Wait, what is that? What?
Just
what?
Rory talking about care. I was just thinking about
so Dale
Dale was talking about when he was on, talking about how records break his heart.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's
he
hilarious.
cares so
Dale comes to mind when you talk about this, because Dale, I know that Dale cares about everything that he touches, but I also see how he signals that he cares to the artists, to the teams, like with his thoughtful words when he sends something out. And like that rubs off on me. I try to do that. I think both of us are kind of on that tip, but he doubles down on it, and it's very it's inviting and it's helpful. It makes people feel like they're in good hands. It's that simple. And then the other half of it is showing up and, you know, delivering something that they're happy with, obviously.
Yes.
But the first part is a lot of the times more important. Obviously, like everyone has a certain level of output or capability of output at our level. But it's the ones that you want to deal with that I think get hired more regularly. Explosions in the neighborhood.
Always explosions
down here. Dale comes to mind when you're talking about that. And I think about it often when I think about caring for music. I'm like, Dale would do that. That's what Dale would do. Dale would just say, yeah, sure, of course, let's get it done. Let's figure out how to do it. And that rubs off on me a lot too. So I think Dale's really the influence for it in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing. And it has worked for him, you know. It has worked. He's just.
And also on the flip side, it works for other people that give two shits and say you only have two versions and that's all you get. And sometimes the mix doesn't get used, but that's their thing and it works for them too. So I guess suppose, both can work.
Yes, that's true.
Would rather be in the room with the former.
Yeah, when you think about the deeper, if the goal is to just get X mixes across the line and bill X dollars, you know, you can do that multiple ways. But if the goal is to sort of a deeper level of satisfaction or pride in your work or connection or shared joy with clients, that might require a different tack, you know. As you say, everyone needs to find their own level with that.
It all kind of starts with saying no, right? And not always no to the project, but no to something that creates space for the thing that's the priority. Right? It's like there's
very hard. Yeah,
it's very hard.
That's the thing I've struggled with a lot.
But it's not like a lot of times we and others come at this conversation from, well, say no to the project because you don't have the bandwidth. And it's like, well, sometimes it's okay to say no to something else that creates space for the project because it's the project you want to do, and that could be equally as hard. as saying no to the financial aspect of the gig. That can be harder because you need to survive. But it might be harder to say no to an event that you're supposed to go to with a friend that you feel bad canceling on them because you've done it so many times. It's like, well, that's going to have some sort of value to your life too, but is that the thing you really want to go to, or can you make it up to them by having a one-on-one with them outside of that when there's more time and you can be more present there, or you're not at the event thinking about how you said no to this thing? Like, there's so many levels to saying no that it's not always about the gig saying no to. And I think we have to just shift our priorities around, and that's constantly changing, right? There's a flow of priorities, so it won't be the same for like every year or month of your life too.
Yeah.
It's just like a thing to consider when, I think we all learn that this concept that you said earlier, just checking your intuitions, like Michael brings up. That's kind of his. I think it actually, in our relationship, I think it started with me doing that to him a lot of the time when he would visit LA, and he'd like tell me something that he was thinking about doing and be like, well, why would you do it that way? Like, why are you saying it that way? Like, what about this? And then he started doing that for other people because I got tired doing it. And it was nice that he kind of picked up the slack there. Yeah. But that's what resonates with me most of the time. It's like, well, why do you think that being content is bad, right? Like, that's like, let's just flip the word around, and like how to use that in a positive context is just a lot of questioning of the intuitions that I think as humans we can all offer ourselves more opportunities to.
Yeah, it isn't even sort of just actively questioning. It's like being around someone with just different intuitions, that it's at a deeper level, they see the world a different way.
Of course, yeah.
And that's useful. It's again, one of the fun things about going in and out of different studios is, just listening to what people play when it's their turn to listen to the speakers. It's like, oh, really? Okay. Oh, okay. We're going to start with that, and it's like, it's an interesting insight into what they value or what they've learned or what they've been taught,
What was the, what's the weirdest, like, be really judgy right now. Like, what was the worst example of a reference that you heard someone play? Yeah, the worst. Like, it's so far from anything that's worthy of deeming a room accurate by listening to.
Well, I don't know that there is a wrong answer, because they're looking. If someone plays if they play something, even if it seems blown out,
I'm saying that wrong.
There have been some rude awakenings.
Yeah.
Like some 90s rock record.
Yes.
That was a reference for someone.
And it's just unlistenable.
And it's just not, not anymore.
But suddenly. It reveals,
Yeah. I'm thinking of one client where I would, Spider knows who I'm talking about, where I would spend a lot of time. It took me a long time to understand this client, working at a very high level. It took me, and I would spend a lot of time over multiple studios working on some aspect of the rig or multiple aspects. And it just wasn't what they valued. It was like, I would get the image to be really tight and deep and the vocal to be just sitting in the center, and it would just not do the kind of visceral impact that they were looking for. They were like, this image thing is like, whatever. Is it cute.
Me? Is it me?
No, it's not you. But like, they were looking for something, and that I played you that Killing Joke track the other day.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a nasty sounding piece of music.
Yeah.
So you would spend hours nuancing, finessing a rig, and then the first track the artist, the client would play is this grimy thing. But the thing is, when it represents, it is actually very telling of a rig that can transmit what they value. Yeah. Just not what I was tuned into at the time. So, you go through enough of that and you start to think that, there's other dimensions here.
Yeah.
And it's
danger is a whole dimension we're not talking about a lot.
And that's why we use the Black Skinhead, the Kanye track. When a good big rig, you can't do it on near fields.
No.
When a good big rig is dialed in, that thing is terrifying. Yeah. I mean, it literally is. You get a
chased through the jungle at night.
Physiological reaction to it.
Yeah.
And that's, if you don't get that, then we're not there. Something's missing. And there's all these moments in different tracks where if there isn't an emotional tell, it's like, doesn't matter what the frequency response graph says.
Yeah.
I remember doing a PMC demo way back. like 7 years ago for Chad Hugo. And I was used to at the time, just like out with PMC all the time, demoing all the time and for all sorts of people. And it usually is very predictable sort of thing. He comes in the room and he starts with like fucking Brahms or something, Mozart, like really low, just barely like. And then the demo sort of went up from there, through sort of all sorts of music and rock stuff. And then eventually like it's knocking. But it was like, clearly super bright dude, super talented, deep discography there. But just as a demo experience, it was like, I know how demos go. It's like,
right.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You think you can get ahead of this one?
Yeah.
And that happened over and over where someone would surprise you with, and that's the thing that PMC gave me, is just all of the ways that these talented people listen and how wrong, my first intuitions around someone or what I thought they needed, they were wrong a lot. And you get schooled. Sometimes it isn't even apparent to them that you've missed and that they've schooled you, but you're like, okay, now I know a new thing about what matters, or, how low end that knocks instead of low end that just hits, or, it's just different language, different, even, how I've had people with Augsburgers and bag-in subs show me how a fancy PMC rig doesn't do the kind of dysfunctional thing that rig does that sounds like a club. And it's like, you can't argue it if that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, right,
you know what I mean?
right.
It's like, okay, this is better, this is truer, this is more accurate, this nice big rig, but it isn't what they're looking for. It isn't home for them, or the kind of translation they're looking for. So really interesting. I don't know. I was trying to explain. I had I'll tell you after Spider, but someone that we've worked with in the past in a new situation reached out and was like, the low end in my new temporary room is not right. Can you give me some tips? And I just wrote back and say, my mix doesn't sound good. Can you give me some tips?
Yeah, right.
And it's like, and I was like, it's that broad a question. So I just listed 8 or 9 of the things that can affect how low end hits, just modes. And it's like, so often the floor to ceiling mode is the one that gets you. And it's like, it's not intuitive. Yeah. It's not, and then it's like boundaries, like walls resonating and absorbing energy at certain frequencies, really hard, or leaking energy at certain frequencies, or phase stuff between the subs. It's like, there's so many things, and then they all interact. And it's like, man, it's just not something you can write an email and say, try X, Y, and Z, and then it'll be good.
It's physics.
It's complex physics.
It's physics with a layer of sort of, back to, I was thinking the other day about doing an Instagram video, and it's like, let me show you this this master I'm working on. It's like pointing it to emptiness. It's like, it's intangible. Yeah. It doesn't exist. It's a ghost. It's just in the air. And you have to close your eyes and hear it. And that's really hard. You're working with something you can't see.
Yeah.
And your perception, you've got to trust it and never trust it at all at the same time. Because you can be tricked and fooled and exhausted, and distortion can be exciting. And, there's so many gotchas with it, But the way I said it to him is, look, if this was easy, most rooms would be good, and most rooms are not good.
Yeah.
It's hard and to integrate it. So it took a long time to get good at it, and I don't know a shortcut. I wish I did. I mean, I guess the video we gave sort of as many as we could, but it's not easy.
It's the definition of complexity.
Kind of is, yeah.
All those interactions can't be modeled.
Yeah, they can't really be modeled. And then there's the emotional layer. It's like the amount of times we've gotten a rig to where you think it's good, and then something doesn't hit one of those test tracks. Kanye Isn't Scary, or the
John Williams cellos don't deliver.
just don't hit you in the gut. or the Netflix and Ducey track doesn't swing the right way. It's like Cecile. The amount of times the Cecile track, we use this track from Cecile McLaurin, Salvant.
Cecile
McLaurin, Salvant or Savant,
something like that.
Yeah. And it's just this. It's this track, and if you played it for someone, they'd be like, "That's pretty simple," and it just unravels rooms. You know, it's so telling of the relationships are very delicately balanced, and when things are off in a room or a speaker system,
it's not the same record.
It's like, oh, this is what happened to the band. Was the drummer asleep?
Yeah,
you know, bass player seems to be annoyed about something. It's like the whole thing changes.
Yeah.
And you know instantly, it's a sort of a little Rorschach test for a room, you know. Anyway, I don't know why I went on an unfuck listening tangent, but
because of other perspectives and other intuitions, being influenced by people, and that's again the value of the interactions that engineers get when they work in the same studio over long periods of time. You accumulate all those interactions.
Yeah.
That's another interesting idea in Snowden's world and the Canavant framework is like this. You can't change people, but you can change the way they interact.
Yes.
So right now we interact on Instagram and in these one-off ways. But by getting together, we change the way we interact. And then when we add stakes, you know, we change the way we interact. We have it, you know, more responsibility to each other, and you know, it's
can't be anything better than fire emojis.
Well,
I mean, surely that's all we need.
Goats and
flaming
goats. Yeah. But yeah, I like that idea that like the place to intervene is in the way we interact. You know, it's not in who we are, what we are, that sort of thing.
I'm listening to another episode with him. I just searched him, and it was on some strange podcast. This guy sounded like Russ from RSP, but like way, way amped up. Like whatever that accent is, like turned to 11.5.
Wow.
Kind of a hard guy to listen to, but Snowden is really good on it. Anyway, I don't know. I think we covered it, guys.
Yeah, I'm down.
John is tired.
Yeah, I'm good.
John's been cooking. We had champagne and beef cheek and what was it, a ribeye steak?
Dry aged ribeye.
Yeah.
Dry aged ribeye. That was pretty epic. Yeah.
I look forward to the future. I feel like we got a lot to work on.
Yeah, I think the next minute is a little bit of regrouping on simple practical steps, and then, you know, some higher order thinking about the bigger stuff that's ongoing.
Yeah, we got some stuff up our sleeves.
Be patient with us, guys.
Yeah.
We coming.
Yeah, and if you've got ideas, we want to hear them. If you've got video skills and you're in LA or near it, I think we could use you. And if there's something we're missing, or your parents own a winery or something, and
outside of America,
and want to do a conversations weekend or something.
Oh,
whatever. Well, outside
summer retreat would be amazing. But it's like we're here already.
Yeah, it won't be this year, but you know, definitely the idea of kind of a spring in Palm Springs in a hotel with 50 rooms and people just some interviews and workshops and nights by the pool next year, something like that could be a really off season. Could be a really you know, that's what the Tape-Op one used to be. The
I did that.
Tape-Op Con. Yeah, I was there a couple of times. It was good. Once.
I did once
or twice. Yeah, it was
drove across the country for it.
Yeah.
I
think what that missed, everything was there except a sort of a coherent community.
Yeah.
Nice people, but kind of a lot of passive interactions as opposed to kind of like, I think when Eduardo and Edsel get in the same place, that's going to be a conversation because there's a level of shared interest there, right?
Yes.
So that to me would be, I would like to see all that happen in one place, you know.
Yes.
And it will.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for the birthday wishes.
Happy birthday, Spider.
Flooded inbox. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yeah. Looking forward to this year.
We're going to do a celebrate your birthday with the girls at the weekend. On Sunday, we'll do our birthday thing. There'll be Mandalorian, yeah. All right, dudes.
Till next time.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Conversations is produced and mixed by Dylan Seals. The Conversations theme was performed and recorded by the Hazelrigg brothers.